Marhaba Habibis.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe to Patreon at patreon.com/Habibi Bros to catch the full episode.
Down on the link below.
Jay, you know who else is below?
It's got to be Steve's mom.
Close.
Mother's Day is
mom.
coming up. Damn! Oh shit! She's in Florida this weekend.
You know who else is down low? Cricket. What's up, buddy?
Oh, wow! Dan's mom's a freak.
Yo.
What
up?
I wonder what she was doing with Cricket under there.
Man.
Were you helping them break their fast with some peanut butter?
Yeah, right on my balls.
So we did a wonderful bill signing for this great elections bill, and it was live on national television.
When she was hanging out in Bush World and Romney World, or is she full of crap now?
My hanger, the guy across right over everything, he was packing up his hanger. I said, "Where are you going?" And he says, "I'm moving to Sedona, Arizona. I can't take it here anymore. I can't walk down the streets and see the homeless."
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
What's going on, Habibis? I'm Siraj Hashmi.
I'm Mujahed Kobbe.
And we're the Habibi Bros. Welcome to another episode of Habibi Power Hour Premium. Now, before we get into this show, I want to remind all of our viewers and listeners to go ahead and sub to us on our YouTube channel, as well as to check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/Habibi Bros. Leave a like, leave a comment. Let us know what you think, how much you hate us, how much you want to convert to Islam. One of those two. There is no wrong answer, but there is a wrong answer, and that is not converting to Islam. Exactly. Or eating ass.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Jay, how you doing this evening?
Alhamdulillah. I'm not doing too bad. I mean, after drinking a whole bottle last night for our live episode, today I'm doing pretty good. Got a 10-piece from Popeyes. Gonna take a massive shit later. No.
Let's go. So we were originally scheduled to have a big guest, and I feel unloved right now, but it's okay. We'll try to get them on another time. And inshallah, Allah knows best, and if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. So, but we won't get into the specifics or details about who it is. Some people know, other people don't. We'll just leave it as a mystery and a surprise, and hopefully, when they do join us, we can have a more we can tell the full story of how things happen. So, yes. But there were a lot of topics that we wanted to cover on Wednesday's show that we didn't get a chance to cover. And today, Thursday, the day we're recording this, there was actually a lot of news happening. Started off this morning.
Yeah.
And a lot of it involved basically the one person who is literally Hitler, but his name is not Trump, and that is Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida. Now, for those of you Habibis who are well aware, I'm currently in Florida. I might be moving here. There's still a lot of things that have to happen, but I will say this, on Fox and Friends this morning, I don't have the full clip, so I'm not going to play it. Ron DeSantis, oh my God, Jay. He's basically Castro, right?
That's exactly what he is, that motherfucker.
Beautiful. Alhamdulillah. I'm surprised you don't have him in the dish dasha.
No, I was going to do one with him in the Distasha with slaves behind him, but the problem was it didn't come up pretty well as a background.
Oh, okay. So what happened was Ron DeSantis signed a newly passed voter law. He signed it into law in a Fox exclusive on Fox and Friends, which is really weird. Like that, we'll get into that part in just a second, and just like kind of the weird optics behind it, because DeSantis has been doing a pretty good job for Florida, and especially during the COVID pandemic and the outbreaks, and basically not implementing any lockdown measures. And that's something that has been a huge sticking point for a lot of his critics, a lot of anti-Trump, both Democrats and Republicans. And a lot of people have been accusing DeSantis of trying to cozy up to Trump in a way that makes him look like, maybe like a sycophant. I guess that's the best way of saying it. But what's happening is that basically, just like Georgia, Florida now has a new voter law, and all the libs hate it. And I'm just going to read from the Washington Post real quick, just to give you an idea of how much they fucking hate it. In an article titled "Florida's DeSantis signs new voting restrictions into law as Republicans rush to align with Trump's false claims of fraud." And it starts off by saying Florida Governor Ron DeSantis on Thursday enthusiastically embraced former President Donald Trump's demand for tougher election laws, signing into law a slew of new voting restrictions in a staged live broadcast, despite previously touting how smoothly his state's elections ran last fall. And if you recall, obviously Florida went Trump, and it wasn't even really fairly it wasn't actually that close between Trump and Biden in 2020. But the article continues, says DeSantis hailed the measure as necessary to shore up public faith in elections, but critics accused him of trying to make it harder to vote, particularly people of color. It's always the people of color that they're just thrown into it.
It's amazing, right? Isn't that it's the same fucking narrative all the time whenever anything like this happens. It's almost like they have it scripted.
It's just I mean, we're gonna get more into that debate in just a moment. I do find it funny though that every single time, like even when it's making it tougher for everyone to vote, somehow it hurts people of color the most, because like they're just somehow incapable of like Democrats and voting rights advocates just view them as being like somehow intellectually inferior, and therefore they don't know how to adjust to these new restrictions or adjust to the new standard. It's so stupid, so racist, and so condescending.
It is. It reminds me of that one post from this one blue check lib who was like, look at look at these two numbers on your driver's license. I mean, it's so easy to get confused. How do you know which one's your driver's license number? And it's being just like so fucking condescending on it. It's like it says DL number. That's your driver's license number. Like, who the fuck are you talking to? Why are you being so fucking condescending with this type of shit? And
it's like they assume that every person of color like has a brain size that's two times smaller than like the average white person, which is like it's just like goes to show you how like subtle they're in. Like liberal racism is like look, overt racism is one thing, like you can identify, it plain as day, but it's liberal racism where it's like these people they put themselves on a pedestal. They say they come at it from like a higher position of morality. What they feel like they're morally superior, and then they come in with this like subtle racism that like people of color just can't do the same things as like white people because they're just not smart enough. Like it's so fucking backwards and stupid, and drives me nuts. But anyways, let me get back to reading this article real quick, just to paint the picture of what we're dealing with this Florida election law, which by the way, neither of us have read, but we are just going to cover it to the best of our ability based on what we know and based on what's reported. And then hopefully by next week, when we've had a chance to look over it a little bit more deeply, we can actually discuss the merits of the bill. But let's go on and say and continue on the story. So the Washington Post continues to write, his signing of the bill, which he delivered live on the Fox News morning program Fox and Friends, makes Florida the latest GOP-controlled state to impose new voting hurdles, following Georgia, Montana, and Iowa. The Texas House was scheduled to take up similar measure later Thursday, and other states, including Arizona, Michigan, and Ohio, are considering their own bills. DeSantis offered a string of justifications for the law, claiming it would prevent ballot harvesting and stuffing of ballots into unmonitored drop boxes, though such practices were already prohibited in the state, and there is no evidence they occurred last year. So kind of an interesting argument right there. Just because they made a law and that there was no evidence that it took place last year, and DeSantis says that the election ran smoothly and that it went for Trump, it's almost like saying that, maybe we shouldn't harvest ballots and stuff unmonitored drop boxes full of ballots, or else you'll get tons of voter fraud, right?
No, exactly right. And the funny thing is that as you were reading this thing, you've read like 3 or 4 paragraphs, maybe 5 paragraphs already in the article, and I have yet to hear what the fuck is in the law. All they're saying is that it's restricting voting. It's going to make it harder for people of color to vote, and they have yet to actually provide any fucking substance to that claim. Zero substance, and they want to bring up Georgia. Georgia is actually going to make it as easy as fucking possible for people to vote, to the point where they're giving off free IDs to everybody and opening more places to mail and vote, and making it the time earlier as well. So if you want to compare it to Georgia voting law, making it like that's what's going to be restrictive, you already failed, and we already know that you're lying about what is happening in Florida as well. It makes no sense. They're over exaggerating it. They're overplaying their hand, and they make themselves look like partisan pieces of garbage all the time because they're not truthful. No, and let's try to power through and get to at least the part where they mention stuff about the voting bill, or the voting law, I should say at this point. DeSantis's vigorous support for the new law, which he arranged to showcase exclusively on Fox News' signature morning show, is the latest example of GOP's rush to align with Trump's false claims that the 2020 election was marred by fraud. Even as some Republicans have privately lamented Trump's false statements that Joe Biden did not win the election, few have been willing to say so publicly. And those who are facing, those who have are facing swift blowback. So they mentioned obviously Liz Cheney, who's probably going to get ousted from the House Republican Conference Chair position, which is the third highest position in the Republican caucus. Now, of course, you have Senator Mitt Romney from Utah, who got booed at his state party convention. And let's see how many paragraphs down before it finally gets to the actual part of the bill. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, now 8. All right, we're on the 8th paragraph. This is where they finally get to. I want to say these are the parts that they're actually reporting on the bill. It says, like similar bills that Republicans are pushing in dozens of state legislatures nationwide, the Florida measure adds hurdles to voting by mail, restricts the use of drop boxes, and prohibits any actions that could influence those standing in line to vote. And this is the best part. Get ready for this, Jay. Which voting rights advocates said is likely to discourage nonpartisan groups from offering food or water to voters as they wait. You hear that? Discouraged. Because of these new laws, no food or water for you fuckers. You're getting nothing in line. Isn't that amazing? It's the same fucking line of play that they did with the Georgia Bowl. Because even then, they still didn't mention exactly what the fuck in the thing is making it a hurdle for people to actually vote or do mail-in voting. What is it? It's just saying that's what it is. And then it's saying, and it's going to discourage people from giving water. The same fucking laws are in New York, in fucking California, in a bunch of different places. They have similar worded laws. So where the fuck do they get this idea that this is just a GOP thing? And it just goes to show that the state of journalism today, they give you this 8-paragraph essay on, oh my God, they hate black people. They want them all to die. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my. And then it's like, and this is what it is. Boom, 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 boom.
It is.
It's not giving you facts.
Like, look, Jay, you and I are not Republicans. We're not Republican shills. We don't like care one way or another. And we certainly call out Republicans when they need to be called out. And we're about to do that a lot more in this episode. But I will say this, every single time a voting bill brought forward by a Republican state legislature, signed by a Republican governor, while there are problems with every single law, you can find problems in every single law. We found problems in the Georgia voting bill in terms of its oversight and how based on who they appoint to their state election board or their state election commission is largely dependent on who's in power. So Republicans largely control the Republican state. They largely control the state legislature in Georgia. So you're never going to really have a fair state election commission.
Right.
So there's that, there are obviously things that can go against having a fair election. But ultimately, like this thing with Florida, it is so important for people to recognize that this whole ID requirement is to prevent people who shouldn't be voting from voting. And we're talking about people who typically can't get photo ID, like undocumented immigrants, because there should be no way they should be voting or participating in an election when they're not citizens. Only citizens have the right to vote. Permanent residents don't have the right to vote.
Yep.
And I just want to highlight that every single time ID is being discussed, like just when we were talking about Georgia only a month ago, people were bringing up Colorado and how Colorado you need ID to vote.
Excuse me.
And Colorado is one of the bluest states in the nation now.
Yeah, it is. But it was really funny because Dale was like, yeah, you do need ID when you're going up to sign up to vote and stuff. But other than that, and they're trying to use that as a way of saying that Colorado needs no ID to vote and all this kind of bullshit. And it was really hilarious. It's like, you don't need ID except for when you do need ID to fucking vote.